Hi, good evening on this June 18th, 2022. The time is 11:17 p.m. and welcome to Early in the A.M. with you. I just thought about it. I think Juneteenth is tomorrow, really in less than an hour. But I digress from that. Something I said in Observations of Art I want to touch on right now, and that's when I was talking about my savings of sanity, what I call a normalcy. And I didn't realize what I said at the moment, but now that I think about it, it's making a lot of sense. I did do that. I think that makes more sense than anything. Because when you're in like a survivor mode, you're trying to look for something that you can plate consistently, something you can tolerate at the most extreme temperatures, no matter how hot or how intense. And you'll produce the same plate over and over again. And I think I was doing that from 2001 for like a good 10 years. I was always at this plate, just always going through the same social humility, job humility, psychological humility, the same thing, the same intense points of humility and humbleness and rejection and reflection. They kept printing out the same face value, the same thing. And I did this every day, even if it wasn't required of me. I kept printing the same thing. Even when it was a good day and everything was in the clear, I remained at that temperature on the inside. And I just kept, producing that face. And it was from that savings that I was fortunate enough to be able to get certain jobs and to be around certain types of people that normally would scare me. But because I had this savings saved up, I could easily tolerate the temperaments that came with their presence, or that came with the neighborhood, or came with the retail store I was in, or whatever was going on with the news, or whoever was making such a burn through things that, people were just looking for the next social leader to make order of something, anything of that nature. And then it came to a place where I started, whatever source that energy was coming from, that allowed me to pressurize myself in such a way, and to create such a savings of energy within, it started dwindling. It just wherever it woke up from, whatever part of the world it woke up from, or the people who were involved in it, who were on ground zero making it happen, I think they started disappearing. And so that energy source started disappearing. And then my role in it started dwindling. And then I became more and more useless. And then the situation itself became more political. So my role in it became political. And then it wasn't so personal anymore. It was more reflective on what we're going to do to prevent it from happening next time. And then now it went from being something that was infinite, that was overflowing, where your cup runneth over, to, girl, we're on the last cup. What are we going to do? And I'm just sitting here like, instead of me trying to devise a plan to do something new, I started questioning where everything went. And I think that's probably one of the worst, mental and psychological decisions I've ever made. Instead of coming to my senses and say, okay, Isha, this is a large energy source you've been on. Could this be, you tapped into something and that somebody else was tapped into as well, and both of you are pulling from the same area. But this person, maybe have more to lose than you do. Not to say that what you have to lose isn't as important. But have you developed a strategy or a plan B to come up with a new source of energy? And I didn't. I don't think I did. The only thing I do remember, and I think I shouldn't have, is not making more of a conscious effort to be more social about what was affecting me at the time. Because usually if you branch out, if you see something is dwindling, you really branch out and start digging the same kind of hole in another area. So people know, okay, she's about the same thing. Even if it's a different topic, maybe we can be able to pocket the same energy. What I ended up doing was burrowing lower than that than that surface. I went about 2 levels below the original surface I was at. And then I stayed there longer than any other surface I stayed at. And what happened was, in the eroding that happened in the deeper part, everything kind of collapsed on top of it. Everything I did from earlier and everything kind of collapsed in because it was way too much of an opening in a deeper area, and there wasn't no support there to keep up, the original ideas and original experiences. So it's like this experience implosion where everything kind of fell in, and then I got to see over the top of everything, which I've never done before. I've never seen over the culmination of my experiences, even though I still have a lot of living to do. And in that, because I can see that now, I think that makes me more vulnerable. It makes me more human, which makes, I think, my situation a little bit more dangerous than I want it to be. I become a little bit more human. The human part takes over the mental, spiritual realm, where not only are you straightforward, but you're abstract as well. I think where I am now, I can't afford to be abstract, and that challenges my art. And then that makes me, question, where have I been the past 20 years? Yeah, I had a job. I was paying my bills, but where was I at mentally? Was I mentally just strong enough to keep my job and to pay my bills? And anything more than that, I would have just no existence no more. I think that's what I'm dealing with right now. The real frailty of my mind, not the strength, not the mental toughness, not that, the real frailty behind it all. And a part of me gets jealous because I'm not a man. No matter what I do, I will never be one. I think men sometimes have a strength that women envy because we are strong too, but God inherently gives them a different strength than us. You know what I mean? And sometimes I get mad when a guy is more stronger than me in something. And a part of me I get angry. I'm like, that's not fair. You don't know half the shit I've been through. How the hell do you think you could just beat me at this? You don't have the right to beat me at this. You don't have the right to treat my struggle as if it's just, a feather in the breeze compared to yours. You don't have the right to do that. And I know I harbor that feeling somewhere in my soul. It's going to take a long time for me to get over that. You know what I mean? I have those feelings. And then I have these other feelings where it's like, not that I want to dominate a man, but I want to tell him how I feel. I want to pour myself into him and then mold something and then pull it out of him as if he's a tool to use. And I know that's a miscommunication with me at some point. At some point, I haven't reconnected that burnt wire between me and the opposite sex. Just going cold turkey celibate isn't the way to do things. It's a way to establish that in a very critical place, you realize something's wrong, and the best thing to do is to hit the brakes so hard that you burn rubber holes in the street. Every time somebody comes by, they go, hey, you're the one who left those 3-foot rubber holes in the street. I'm like, yeah, I put the brakes on that one. It's so weird. I'm going to, I'm enrolled back in school now. And I'm enrolled at the same school I was in 1998. It's like 24 years in the future, right? And I'm looking at myself, I can't believe that was 24 years ago when I was at Houston. It was a different school then. It was a whole lot smaller. It wasn't even half the size it is now. As you go in that one entrance over there next to the library, it's like right next door. I used to go in and out of that entrance. And the class I took was, I don't know if it was on the first floor or the second floor. It was a business class. That's all I remember. And it was back in 1998 I went there. Different world, different scene, different life. 24 years ago. And I'm thinking about it now, and I'm back at that school. And I went there to pick up my books. I just kept looking around when I was walking toward the building. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this place didn't even exist. The thing that they turned into like a 4-yard, it's like this yard inside of the building. It's like the building encases like this inside park. Before, like maybe 35 years ago, that place was a mall. It was literally a mall. You walk in, and now it's the foyer for Houston Community College. That's like crazy to me to think about. Yeah, well, I'm having issues here too. Now I'm kind of having this internal conflict with the dynamic of the classroom. Like this is my first time having an interactive classroom experience, and it's not like I can't behave myself, but my etiquette and my program guidelines are all off. These kids are firing on all cylinders, and I'm just functioning just enough to get the information from the professor so I can pass the course. Like, it's literally that basic. And I know there's some structure going on where these kids are already, embracing the movements necessary to become successful in their field. They're already preparing themselves for the real estate brokers and agencies they're going to work for, and the kind of markets they want to work in, and the price ranges of the houses they want to sell. And I'm kind of in this place where I'm trying to build a secular structure to the art structure I have. And in that secular structure, I want to sell houses. And there's really not too much of a cyber world to it. There's no cyber connectivity to it. I was like, I'm an old cow, and I have a certain way of doing things, and I have very limited resources that I'm using. I'm on an extremely tight budget, very tight, just from being too frugal with my presence, with my art, with my voice, especially my inner voice. I was way too, not frugal, extravagant. I was way too extravagant. And I think that really cost me in the end. It really came back and really bit me in my A on that one. I just have so much in my life. I'm like falling down. There was this movie I think it was called Falling Down. There's this guy who like had lost his job, and like the whole entire day it was like him just going out doing the most maddening things he could think of, and then he dies at the end of the movie. I don't want to talk about. There's so much. I don't know. I want to, when I talk about that, I always use the sensitive subject warning thing I created. So I'm talking about something, and I touch that sensitive nerve. I really do. I feel myself getting over it now. Like a child that just wants to have a tantrum in the middle of the floor. That's what I feel like I'm going through right now. Just gotta be quiet and just mean it. Be quiet and just mean it.